Hi everyone, it's Shannon. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new and enjoy DIYs and tutorials, please hit that subscribe button because I bring you new inspiration every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And today I have 3 Dollar Tree DIYs. We're gonna be creating some fall farmhouse decor. So let's go ahead and get started. And here's a look at the supplies for our first project. I wanted to share the items that I grabbed from the Dollar Tree. I have one of these mesh laundry bags. This is a harvest metal decor piece that I grabbed out of a set of 3. So this actually comes with one that says welcome and another one that says thankful. So I'm just using the harvest one out of there. I also have my burlap leaves here and then a 8x10 picture frame. I really liked this one because it has the wood detail on it as well as the silver metal, which really complements this here. The other supplies I'm going to use are my hot glue gun and my scissors. The first thing I did was prep the frame. So you're going to take out the glass and the backing. You won't be needing that for this project. And then the idea of this is to add the mesh into the opening, and it's going to give it sort of a chicken wire or a metal mesh, which is the look I was going for. After I cut the mesh down to size, I made sure it was a little bit bigger than the frame so we could trim it down to size later on. And then I added a bead of hot glue to the inset of that frame, and I used barbecue skewers, which are also from the Dollar Tree, to press into the glue, and it also held the mesh tight against the picture frame. And here's an up-close look of what those barbecue skewers look like on the back of the frame. We're going to leave those there. And then we're going to trim our mesh down to size. That way you don't see it on the edges of your frame. You also don't want to see them on the inside of your frame. So I did glue them down, just the rough edges around the back with my hot glue. And then here's a look at the front of the frame so you can see what it looks like before we add any of the extra details and accents. We're going to be working on the burlap leaves now. I wanted to define the edges, so I'm using my white chalk paint here and my foam paintbrush to just add a little bit of white paint all the way around the edges. Once the leaves were dry, I started working on painting the mesh background. Like I said, I wanted this to have more of a metal look, so I used my painter's tape to tape off the edges of the frame before using my foam paintbrush and a dark gray paint, chalk paint, to cover most of the mesh. I didn't do a solid coat. I sort of left it have more of a rustic look. That way it looked a little more realistic. So you can see here I'm using my paintbrush and making sure to get up into the edges right along the frame sides, and then going back and forth along the mesh in the middle. And then I did run my paintbrush the opposite way to make sure I got all of the holes on the insides of the mesh. Once the gray paint was dry, I removed the painter's tape and then used my hot glue to apply the 2 burlap leaves and my metal harvest decor piece. I am so happy with the way this cute little sign turned out. The mesh really does mimic sort of that metal look, and that just made me so happy to see that an idea like this could really come to life. This would be so cute in an entryway or tucked in a corner in your kitchen, on your countertops, or on top of your cabinets. Lots of different ideas of where you could use this in your home. If you enjoy home decor on a budget, you can follow me over on my Instagram and Facebook pages. I'll have those linked down in the description box below. Alright, and now on to our next project. We are going to turn these cute little acorns from the Dollar Tree. They're actually kind of like a styrofoam, but they feel like they have a real acorn topper on them. We're going to give these a whitewashed look. So this is a really nice sort of natural looking acorn, but if you are going for more of the whites and grays and buffalo check, you might want to add a little bit of white to them to kind of make them blend in with your decor, which is what I'm going to do. So these are going to get a coat of the darker gray chalk paint, and then I'm going to whitewash a little bit of the white chalk paint over top of that, and it'll give it a little bit more of that farmhouse look. All right, and for this last project, I have this really cute tabletop pumpkin sign. These little wooden stickers that have leaves and pumpkins on them. and one of these buffalo check scarves. So that's what's from the Dollar Tree. Also, my Mod Podge is from the Dollar Tree. This is one of the scarves that I used in a previous tutorial. So if you missed that, I will link that down in the description box below. So this is the leftover that I'm going to use on this. So to get started, I'm actually going to take this off the front and we're going to use the back. It has a sticker on here, so I'm going to use a hairdryer and try to heat it up to peel it off, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to use some Goo Gone, and then all I'm going to do is Mod Podge, put some Mod Podge on the back here, lay my scarf material on top, put more Mod Podge on top of that to seal it in, and then I'm going to let that dry before I come back and cut it out. Ended up using the hairdryer to remove most of the sticker, and then I went ahead and did as I said, added the Mod Podge, laid the scarf within the Mod Podge, and then added more of the glue on top to seal it in. This glue dries clear, and once it had dried, I realized that you could see through the fabric, and I really didn't want to see that brown, so I peeled the fabric off and decided to give it a couple coats of my white chalk paint. Once the paint had dried completely, I did the same process. So I added the Mod Podge, made sure I had a good coat of it using my foam paintbrush before relaying the fabric back on top and then sealing it back in with more Mod Podge over the top of that. After the Mod Podge had dried completely, I pulled out my cutting mat and a sharp X-Acto knife and used that to carefully cut around the sign and cutting off that excess fabric. Now this part is optional. I decided to take my black chalk paint and a foam paintbrush and just go around the edges to just give it more of a finished look. Now to add some embellishments, I'm using some jute, my hot glue gun, and this cute little leaf from the Dollar Tree sticker pack. And I'm using my hot glue and just tying a knot in the jute around the stem of the pumpkin and wrapping it and gluing it as I went along. And once the whole top was wrapped, I hot glued that little leaf onto the side of the stem.
Thank you all so much for joining me for today's DIYs. Please hit that subscribe button, and I have lots more DIY tutorials for you in the link right next to me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.